I just see a lot of the proposed cuts, and you know, it sounds like a big number, but when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, it's pennies on the dollar.
That's an important lesson for all of us, frankly, because I had a friend who went home to go through this exercise with his constituents, where he said, okay, you're going to balance it, you're going to have my job. He actually retired 6 months after he did this little exercise, but he said, we're going to balance the budget today, and you're going to tell me how to do it. First thing, you know, cut foreign aid. Okay, we're 0.01% there now, and he had the numbers there so that you could walk through it. And you need to realize the scale of some of those numbers. That there will be a dividend from things like the fact that I hope we're going to have a smaller footprint outside of the United States in terms of our military presence around the world. The actions that we've taken in Iraq and Afghanistan, and we have some incredible people, not in Iraq anymore, but certainly in Afghanistan, who are still pursuing that mission. It has cost us dearly without us being willing to say we're going to pay for it now. We've said, well, we'll let our kids pay for it. We have to get smarter about that, and we have to make tough decisions and realize that we're not going to be able to do everything. So let's figure out what we're willing to do and just do that really well.
You know, it was interesting. I had a conversation with one of my board members, and he said, unless somebody thinks outside the box, we're not going to get through this budget crunch. And so I said, okay, think outside the box for me. And he said, what if we put 1/8%, 1/4% sales tax on every commodity that's sold? The amount of that money would be used to pay down the debt, and for no other reason, to pay down the debt. And I thought, well, you know, it's the old statement about, well, you know, you're going to hurt the poor, you're going to hurt the, you know, et cetera, and the rich are going to whatever, and the balance of paying taxes, et cetera, et cetera. That's a lot of money. And it's going to take some kinds of thought like that. We're not going to do it by hacking away at, you know, cut spending, cut spending, cut spending. I mean, if you're in your own business, you know, first of all, we wouldn't have got into the mess because we wouldn't have been allowed to get into the mess because we'd have gone out of business. But now that we're here, what you have to do is figure out how you get out. Right. But it's almost some kind of thought like that where everybody says, you know, that's it. Rich person says, okay, that's it. The poor person says,
I think you're on one of the central parts of what you got to right at the end is the realization that whatever we do has to be shared sacrifice. Right. And everybody has to have some skin in the game. Right. Middle class, the very rich, the very poor, and everyone in between has to feel like they're being treated equitably and fairly. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to enjoy writing the check on April 15th, but that, you know, when it's done fairly, then I think people feel much better and less pitted against each other. And I do think it's worth looking at some of the ideas that emerged in Simpson Bowles, or, you know, Domenici Ridland, or some of these other approaches. But one of the things they did in Simpson Bowles was to try and get rid of the inequities between different kinds of taxation. So, you know, some of us make money and it's a capital gain, and some of us make money and it's income, and those rates tend to be all over the place. And whether you're, you know, in real estate or venture capital or what have you, over time we've come up with a taxation system that treats everything so differently than everything else that everybody feels like they're sort of singled out instead of there's shared sacrifice and everybody's doing the same thing. And I do think it's worth looking at some simplification so long as it is, you know, something we can sell as fair to people across the income spectrum. I want to thank you all for the opportunity and just say how much I've enjoyed working with all of you and how much I hope to be able to do in the future.
Thank you.